In the rush of modern life, how often do we press pause and truly reflect? It feels like we're constantly moving, ticking off tasks, chasing deadlines, barely stopping to take a breath. But as Marcus Aurelius once wrote in his Meditations, nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul. That quiet retreat found through daily reflection is not just a luxury, it's a necessity, especially in a world that often pulls us in 100 different directions. Reflection isn't just about looking back, it's about grounding ourselves in the present, gaining clarity, and aligning with what truly matters. In today's video, we're diving into why this Stoic practice is so transformative, and more importantly, how you can make it a part of your daily life to uncover inner peace and sharpen your perspective. Let's explore together. Picture this: Seneca, one of the great Stoic philosophers, ends his day by sitting quietly in his room, away from the distractions of Rome's bustling streets. By the dim light of an oil lamp, he asks himself questions like, what did I do well today? Where did I falter? What could I have done better? For Seneca, this wasn't just a mental exercise, it was a ritual, a way to hold himself accountable and pursue a life of virtue. He famously wrote, "Each evening I examine my entire day. I go back over what I've done and said, hiding nothing from myself, passing nothing by." This nightly practice of self-reflection wasn't optional for the Stoics, it was essential to their philosophy of life. So why did the Stoics place such importance on daily reflection? It ties back to some of their core beliefs. First, the Stoics believed in the concept of self-discipline, taking control of one's actions, thoughts, and emotions to live in alignment with reason and virtue. They viewed reflection as a tool to sharpen this discipline, like polishing a blade. By reviewing their day, they could identify areas where they acted impulsively or strayed from their values and make conscious adjustments moving forward. Second, reflection was a way to live in accordance with nature, a central tenet of Stoicism. For the Stoics, living in harmony with nature didn't just mean respecting the environment. It meant living in alignment with our human nature, which they believed was rooted in reason, virtue, and the pursuit of wisdom. Daily reflection allowed them to check if their actions were consistent with their higher purpose, ensuring they weren't swept away by distractions or fleeting emotions. It's also worth noting how reflection helped Stoics align with their key virtues: wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. Through reflection, they could assess whether their decisions were guided by wisdom, were they thoughtful and rational. They could ask if they showed courage, did they face challenges bravely, or did they avoid discomfort? And what about justice? Were their actions fair and considerate of others? Finally, they could evaluate their temperance. Did they exercise self-control, or were they carried away by excess? Reflection was their way of holding a mirror to their character and making constant, incremental improvements. Now let's fast forward to today. While most of us aren't navigating the politics of ancient Rome or contemplating philosophy in royal courts, the modern world presents its own challenges. We're bombarded with notifications, overloaded with choices, and often swept up in a pace of life that leaves little room for pause. But this is exactly why reflection is so crucial in our times. Without it, we can easily fall into autopilot, letting our days blur together without ever asking ourselves, am I living the way I truly want to? Am I prioritizing what matters most? In many ways, adopting this ancient Stoic practice is an act of rebellion in a culture dominated by constant busyness. It's a choice to slow down, to live intentionally, and to focus on growth rather than perfection. As Seneca reminds us, we suffer more often in imagination than in reality. Reflection helps us recognize when we're letting our fears or frustrations get the better of us, and it gives us the chance to course correct. By taking just a few moments each day to reflect, we not only gain clarity but also start aligning our actions with our deeper values. And in doing so, we take one step closer to living a fulfilled and meaningful life. How often do you end your day by asking yourself what you did well or what you could improve? For most of us, our nights might end with mindlessly scrolling through our phones, collapsing into bed, or simply letting the day fade without a second thought. But the Stoics saw this time differently. To them, the evening wasn't just the end of the day, it was an opportunity, a chance to reflect, to recalibrate, and to grow. This habit, often called the evening review, is one of the cornerstone practices in Stoicism, and for good reason. It's a tool for self-awareness, for self-improvement, and ultimately for living a life of virtue. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic thinkers, stressed the importance of examining one's actions. He advised, "Don't go to sleep until you've reviewed the day. What did I do right? What did I do wrong? What could I do better?" This practice wasn't about self-criticism or dwelling on regrets, but about cultivating honesty with oneself. It's a safe space to acknowledge what went well, identify where we fell short, and focus on how to improve. It's where the seeds of personal growth are planted. So, how does this actually work? The evening review is about bringing intention to the end of your day. Instead of letting your thoughts wander aimlessly, you direct them with purpose. Start by reflecting on the highlights. Ask yourself, what did I do well today? Maybe you showed patience during a stressful moment or took the time to listen to someone who needed support. By celebrating these wins, big or small, you reinforce behaviors that align with the Stoic virtues of wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. Next, move into the more challenging part, identifying areas for growth. This isn't about beating yourself up or going down a rabbit hole of guilt. It's about learning. Did you let anger get the better of you during a disagreement? Were you distracted when someone was trying to connect with you? Did you procrastinate on something important? Recognizing these moments gives you clarity. It allows you to face them head-on and think about how you might handle them differently tomorrow. A practical way to structure your evening review is by writing down 3 things you did well and 3 things you could improve. Writing it out brings a level of focus and accountability that's hard to achieve with thoughts alone. For example, you might jot down, "I stayed calm during a difficult meeting," or "I helped a friend through a tough situation." Then for areas of growth, you could write, "I spent too much time on social media," or "I could have been more decisive in my choices." This simple exercise doesn't take long, just a few minutes before bed, but over time it can create a meaningful shift in how you live your life. The beauty of the evening review is that it trains your mind to pay attention. By consistently asking yourself these questions, you start to notice patterns. You see what lifts you up and what holds you back, and most importantly, you become mindful of the gap between the person you are today and the person you want to become. It's not about perfection, but progress. Reflection helps you grow a little wiser, a little more intentional every single day. Incorporating this practice into your routine can feel transformative. When you take the time to reflect, you not only end the day with clarity, but also set the stage for a better tomorrow. It's in these small, consistent habits that the Stoics believe true greatness is built. And as Epictetus reminds us, the key is to keep company only with those who uplift you, whose presence calls forth your best. Through the evening review, you become that uplifting presence for yourself, a daily guide toward living a more virtuous, fulfilled life. In today's fast-paced world, it's easy to think, "I just don't have the time." Life feels jam-packed. There's always another email to answer, another task to cross off the list, another distraction pulling at your attention. But here's the thing, creating space for daily reflection doesn't require hours of your time. What it does require is intention. Small, consistent efforts practiced daily can lead to profound changes over time. The key is to start simple and focus on building a habit that fits into your unique routine. One powerful way to anchor this practice is to think of it as a ritual rather than just another task on your to-do list. Rituals, by their very nature, carry meaning. They create a sense of rhythm and purpose in our days. For the Stoics, reflection was often tied to specific moments, whether it was Marcus Aurelius beginning his day by journaling in his personal notebook or Seneca closing his evening with a detailed review. So how can we adapt this into our modern lives? Start with intention. Choose a time of day that consistently works best for you. For some, that might be the morning, setting the tone for the day ahead. Reflection at sunrise offers a moment of clarity before life's busyness begins. Others might prefer the evening, just as the Stoics often did, using the quiet of the night to look back on the day's events and lessons. Pick a time that feels natural for you. Trying to force it into an already crammed schedule will only lead to frustration. To make reflection sustainable, keep it simple. You don't need to craft long essays or spend hours analyzing every detail of your day. A simple journal can work wonders. Marcus Aurelius used his personal writings not to impress others but as a space for honest self-reflection, a way to confront his thoughts, clarify his actions, and reaffirm his values. You can do the same by setting aside just 5 to 10 minutes. Write down 3 questions. What went well today? What could I have done better? What will I focus on tomorrow? These prompts keep it straightforward yet meaningful, guiding your thoughts without overwhelming you. If journaling feels like a commitment you aren't ready for, start even smaller. You could reflect mentally during your commute, while walking your dog, or as you brush your teeth at night. Pairing reflection with an existing habit makes it easier to remember and integrate into your routine. For example, every time you brew your morning coffee, take a moment to think about one thing you value about the day ahead. Or before you turn off the lights at night, ask yourself one question. Did I live today according to my principles? These micro moments of reflection, when done consistently, add up over time. Another helpful tip is to remove perfection from the equation. Developing habits takes patience, and it's natural to miss a day here and there. What matters is your overall commitment to the practice. Instead of focusing on doing it perfectly, think about building momentum. Each time you reflect, you're strengthening your ability to be intentional, an ability that will eventually become second nature. Finally, consider tailoring your reflection practice to your personal preferences. If you're someone who enjoys writing, journaling might feel like a natural fit. But for others, a verbal reflection, maybe speaking your thoughts out loud or recording them as a voice memo, might resonate more. The goal is to create a process that feels authentic and sustainable for you. By turning reflection into a daily habit, no matter how small, you're giving yourself the gift of intentionality in a world that often pulls us in countless directions. You're creating a space to reconnect with your values, to learn from your experiences, and to grow a little wiser each day. As you build this practice, remember the Stoic wisdom that progress is made in small, steady steps. Even the great Marcus Aurelius wasn't writing his journal to master life. He was simply showing up day after day and growing through the process. And that's exactly how lasting change happens, one reflection at a time. Have you ever found yourself replaying a conversation over and over in your head? Maybe someone's comment annoyed you, or you couldn't stop thinking about how you should have said something differently. Or perhaps you've spent hours worrying about an outcome you had no power to change, a delayed flight, a missed opportunity, or someone else's opinion of you. It's something we all do, getting caught up in loops of overthinking or reacting emotionally to situations that don't go our way. But for the Stoics, the solution was clear: reflection. not just as a means of self-improvement, but as a tool for detachment. Detachment in Stoicism isn't about being cold or indifferent to life. It's about the ability to separate ourselves from external events and focus on what's truly within our control. This distinction lies at the heart of the Stoic philosophy, and it's beautifully summarized by Epictetus, who wrote, "Some things are up to us and some things are not." These simple words carry profound wisdom. They remind us that no matter how much we try to control the world around us, the only thing we truly have power over is our own mind, our thoughts, our actions, and how we choose to respond. So, where does reflection come in? Through daily reflection, we can untangle these emotional knots and step back from the noise of external events. Think of it as hitting pause on the whirlwind of reactions and giving yourself space to reflect. What in this situation is within my control? What is not? For example, if a coworker criticized your work today, you don't have control over their words or opinions, but you do have control over how you interpret their feedback, how you respond emotionally, and how you choose to move forward. By reflecting on moments like this, you begin to see the difference between what's in your hands and what isn't, allowing you to let go of what doesn't serve you. This act of separating the controllable from the uncontrollable is what builds resilience. When we stop wasting energy on things outside our sphere of influence, whether it's other people's actions, unexpected setbacks, or even the weather, we free up mental space. Space that can be used to focus on what truly matters, our growth, our virtues, and our ability to navigate life with calm and clarity. Reflection helps us break free from the emotional roller coaster that comes from attaching our happiness to external events. Instead, it fosters a steady, centered mindset. Let's take a practical example. Imagine you had a frustrating day. A meeting went poorly, your boss didn't acknowledge your hard work, and traffic turned your commute into a nightmare. Without reflection, it's easy to carry that frustration with you, snapping at loved ones, losing sleep, or feeling drained before the next day even begins. But through reflection, you step back and ask, what about this day was within my control? Could I have prepared more for the meeting? Did I handle myself well, regardless of my boss's reaction? Was sitting in traffic something I could control, or just an opportunity to practice patience? These questions shift your perspective. They help you let go of the anger and focus on what you can improve, leaving you with a sense of calm rather than lingering frustration. Detachment doesn't mean we stop caring about life. It means we stop letting things we cannot control dictate our inner peace, and daily reflection is the bridge to achieving that. Over time, this practice rewires how you see the world. You start to notice when you're overreacting, when you're holding onto something you can't change, and when it's time to simply let go. That's the power of detachment. It doesn't come from ignoring the world around you, but from living in harmony with it, accepting what you can't change, and focusing your energy on the choices you can make. As Epictetus reminds us, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Reflection is your opportunity to examine those reactions, to pause, and to choose a response that aligns with wisdom and peace rather than impulsive emotion. Through this, you'll find a profound sense of freedom, a freedom that comes not from changing the world around you, but from mastering the way you navigate it. Have you ever noticed how easy it is to focus on what's missing in life? The job you don't have, the goals you haven't reached, or the things you wish were different. It's such a common habit, one that can leave us feeling perpetually dissatisfied, always yearning for more. But the Stoics knew a better way, one rooted in shifting our perspective. And that way is gratitude. Through the practice of daily reflection, we can nurture gratitude and, in doing so, transform the way we see the world. Gratitude for the Stoics was more than just saying thank you or counting blessings. It was about consciously acknowledging the abundance of what life offers, focusing on what we have rather than fixating on what we lack. As Marcus Aurelius wisely put it, do not indulge in dreams of having what you don't have, but reckon up the chief of the blessings you do possess, and then thankfully remember how you would crave them if they were not yours. This idea reminds us that the life we live today, with all its imperfections, holds treasures we once only dreamed of. Reflecting on these blessings brings us back to the present, grounding us in what truly matters instead of being swept away by longing or dissatisfaction. So how can we actively cultivate gratitude through reflection? One simple and effective exercise is to end your day by identifying 3 things you're thankful for. These don't need to be grand or extraordinary. They can be as simple as a kind word from a friend, a moment of calm during a hectic day, or the warmth of the sun on your face. By making a habit of this, you train your mind to notice the positive, even amidst challenges. It's not about ignoring difficulties, but about seeing the good that exists alongside them. Over time, this practice rewires your perspective, helping you shift from focusing on scarcity to recognizing abundance. For example, imagine you've had a tough day at work, projects delayed, conflicts unresolved. Without reflection, it's easy to carry that frustration into the evening, letting it cloud your mood. But by pausing to practice gratitude, you might instead notice that your partner made you dinner, or recall the supportive advice a colleague shared earlier in the day. Suddenly, the narrative of your day changes. Instead of being defined by stress, it becomes a balance of challenge and appreciation. This subtle shift doesn't erase problems, but it builds resilience and helps you approach them with a clearer, more grounded mindset. This emphasis on gratitude also aligns deeply with the Stoic view of living in harmony with nature and accepting life as it is. Marcus Aurelius often reflected on the fleeting nature of existence, encouraging himself to cherish the present moment, no matter how mundane or ordinary it might seem. He reminded himself and us that every breath, every interaction, every experience is a gift. By reflecting with gratitude, we embrace this perspective, finding joy in life as it is, rather than waiting for some ideal future to bring happiness. The benefits of this practice aren't just philosophical, they're deeply practical too. Modern science supports what the Stoics knew centuries ago. Gratitude has a profound impact on mental well-being. Studies show that practicing gratitude reduces stress, improves sleep, and boosts overall happiness. When we take time to reflect on what we're grateful for, we shift our focus away from negativity and cultivate a sense of contentment. Over time, this builds a strong foundation for mental clarity and emotional balance. To bring this practice into your life, start small. At the end of each day, ask yourself, what am I grateful for today? You could write these reflections in a journal, share them with a loved one, or simply think about them as you wind down for the night. The important part is consistency. Even on tough days when gratitude feels harder to find, there's always something, whether it's the air you breathe, a lesson learned, or the quiet moments of stillness that allow you to reset. By incorporating gratitude into your daily reflection, you align yourself with a key Stoic virtue, appreciation for the present. This practice doesn't just make life feel richer, it helps you live more virtuously, with a sense of humility and connection to the world around you. As the Stoics remind us, life is fleeting. Gratitude allows us to savor it moment by moment and to live fully in the here and now. What if every challenge you faced today was actually an opportunity for growth? It's a powerful question, isn't it? Because when we're in the thick of difficulties, whether it's dealing with a tough conversation, a failed project, or an unforeseen setback, it's natural to see these moments as purely negative. Frustrating, unwanted, but the Stoics encourage us to see these challenges through a different lens. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action." What stands in the way becomes the way. In other words, obstacles are not roadblocks to our progress. They asterisk the path to our growth. And through daily reflection, we can train ourselves not just to endure challenges, but to use them as opportunities to strengthen our character. When we reflect on our challenges, we create space to examine them with clarity and intention. Let's take a typical example. Imagine your boss criticized your work in front of a team today. It stung. Your immediate reaction might have been defensiveness or even self-doubt. But instead of letting that moment fester, what if you revisited it during your daily reflection? You could ask yourself, what was within my control in that situation and what wasn't? Maybe you realize that your boss's tone wasn't something you could influence, but your response was. Did you remain calm or did you react impulsively? By reflecting on how you handled the situation, you can uncover valuable lessons, perhaps the importance of staying composed under pressure or the need to communicate more proactively in the future. This process of reflection isn't about beating yourself up for what went wrong. It's about learning and growing from the experience. The Stoics believed that adversity builds strength, much like lifting a heavy weight strengthens the body. Seneca reminded us, difficulties strengthen the mind as labor does the body. So when we reflect on our challenges, we're not wallowing in failure, we're exercising resilience. We're building mental toughness and adaptability, preparing ourselves to face future obstacles with greater clarity and confidence. Another powerful aspect of reflective practice is the ability to reframe challenges. Instead of labeling a difficult moment as purely negative, we can ask, what can I gain from this experience? How is this shaping me? Let's say you didn't get that promotion you were hoping for. Reflection might reveal that while the outcome was disappointing, it also motivated you to sharpen your skills or seek opportunities you hadn't considered before. This shift in perspective, seeing setbacks as stepping stones rather than barriers, is at the heart of Stoic resilience. It's not about pretending challenges aren't hard. It's about recognizing that they often hold hidden opportunities for growth. Practically speaking, you can incorporate this mindset into your reflection practice by asking yourself a few key questions at the end of the day. What challenges did I face today? How did I respond to those challenges? What could I do differently next time? These questions encourage self-awareness and improvement without judgment. Over time, this practice gives you the confidence to face new challenges with a sense of purpose, knowing that even when things don't go as planned, there's value to be found. One of the most empowering outcomes of this reflective work is adaptability. Life is unpredictable, setbacks and difficulties are inevitable, but by engaging in daily reflection, you build the mental flexibility to navigate these twists and turns. You stop seeing challenges as signs of failure or reasons to quit and start seeing them as part of the process, a process that strengthens your character and brings you closer to your goals. So the next time you face a tough moment, remember that it's not the challenge itself that defines you, it's how you respond to it. And by making daily reflection a habit, you give yourself the tools to respond with intention, grace, and resilience. Because as Marcus Aurelius reminds us, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. Through reflection, every setback becomes a chance to grow. Every obstacle becomes an opportunity, and every difficulty becomes a step forward on the path to becoming your best self. How well do you manage your emotions when faced with difficult situations? Think about it. When someone cuts you off in traffic or a disagreement at work spirals out of control, how often do you find yourself reacting in ways you later regret? Emotional outbursts, frustration, or even silent resentment, these are natural human responses, but they're also patterns that can be improved with intentional effort. The Stoics believed that one of the most powerful tools in achieving a virtuous and fulfilling life was mastering emotional regulation, and at the heart of this mastery lies the practice of daily reflection. The Stoics recognized that emotions, especially destructive ones like anger, fear, or envy, stem from the judgments we make about situations, not the situations themselves. Epictetus taught this idea through the concept of the discipline of assent. He explained that whenever we are confronted with an emotional trigger, we have a choice. We can either assent to the thoughts and judgments that fuel our emotional reactions, or we can pause and question them. He reminds us, it isn't the events themselves that disturb people, but only their judgments about them. Daily reflection plays a key role in strengthening this discipline. By setting aside time to intentionally review our emotional responses, we become more aware of the patterns that cause us to lose control. For instance, let's say you found yourself snapping at a loved one after a long, stressful day. Without reflection, this moment might pass by unnoticed, dismissed as a bad mood. But by reflecting, you can dig deeper and ask, what triggered that reaction? Was it truly about what was said in the moment, or was I carrying stress from earlier in the day? This awareness allows you to identify the root cause of the emotion and address it more constructively in the future. So how can you use reflection to regulate your emotions in a practical way? Start by using the pause principle. This means that when you encounter something emotionally triggering, instead of reacting immediately, you take a mental step back. This pause, which daily reflection helps train over time, gives you a moment to examine the situation objectively. Ask yourself, what exactly am I feeling right now? What judgment am I making about this situation? And is that judgment rational or exaggerated? By analyzing these emotions, you create space to respond thoughtfully rather than reacting impulsively. Another key step in reflection is identifying recurring triggers. During your evening review, take note of situations that consistently provoke strong emotions. For example, do you often find yourself feeling impatient during long meetings, or does criticism leave you feeling overly defensive? Recognizing these patterns is essential because it enables you to prepare for them in the future. The next time you're faced with a similar situation, you'll already be armed with the self-awareness to manage your emotions more effectively. Equally important is learning to reframe your perspective. If you frequently feel anger when someone criticizes you, reflection can help you shift your view. Instead of seeing criticism as an attack, practice viewing it as an opportunity for growth. What can you learn from it? How can you use it to improve? This reframing process, rooted in Stoic philosophy, helps soften strong emotional reactions and turns them into constructive responses. Epictetus reminds us that mastering our emotions isn't about suppressing them entirely, it's about guiding them with reason. Through reflection, we learn to distinguish between what we can control and what we can't, which is fundamental to managing our emotions. The next time someone's actions upset you, reflection will remind you their behavior is outside your control, but your interpretation and response are entirely your own. Over time, this practice builds emotional resilience. You'll find that situations that once triggered anger or frustration no longer have the same hold on you. Instead of being swept away by your emotions, you'll navigate them with calm and clarity. And that's the beauty of daily reflection. It empowers you to not only understand your emotions, but also to transform them into tools for growth and self-mastery. It's not about becoming emotionless, it's about developing the kind of inner strength that allows you to remain steady, even in life's most trying moments. In Stoicism, virtues are the foundation of a life well lived. But what do they truly mean? For the Stoics, virtues weren't abstract ideals or lofty concepts. They were practical qualities that guided daily life and anchored it in meaning. Among the most important were wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. Each one serves as a moral compass, helping us navigate challenges and remain aligned with our higher purpose. Wisdom is the ability to think clearly and act in harmony with reason. Courage is the strength to face fears and adversities with integrity. Justice is fairness in how we treat others, rooted in the belief that we are all interconnected. And temperance is the practice of balance, self-restraint, and moderation in all things. These virtues are timeless. They transcend the ages because they speak to the universal human pursuit of becoming better. But here's the truth the Stoics understood: virtues aren't innate. They don't simply arrive fully formed in our character. They're cultivated, strengthened, and polished through continuous practice, just like a skill or muscle. And one of the most effective tools for this cultivation is daily reflection. Marcus Aurelius himself, in his Meditations, used this practice to assess where he stood in relation to his virtues. He famously urged, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be one." Through reflection, we move beyond intention and evaluate our progress in actually living out these virtues. So how does reflection help? Let's take wisdom as an example. Wisdom is about making sound decisions based on reason and understanding what is within your control. At the end of the day, you might reflect and ask, did I approach today's decisions thoughtfully? Did I let emotions cloud my judgment? Imagine you made a hasty decision at work that led to complications. Instead of moving on without a second thought, reflection allows you to notice patterns. Was it impatience that drove your choice? How might you approach similar situations differently in the future? By asking these questions, you sharpen your ability to pause, think, and act with greater clarity next time. Now consider courage. Courage isn't just about grand acts of valor. It's about facing ordinary fears and discomforts with strength. Perhaps you avoided speaking up in a meeting or shied away from asking for help when you needed it. A reflective question like, did I show courage today, even in small ways? Not only helps you recognize moments of bravery, but also areas where fear got the better of you. Over time, this awareness builds a habit of leaning into courage rather than avoiding it. Justice, too, benefits immensely from reflection. Justice demands that we treat others fairly and with kindness. How often, in the rush of a busy day, do we lose sight of this? Reflection gives us a chance to pause and evaluate. Was I fair in how I treated others today? Did I act with kindness and empathy? Maybe you notice a moment where you were dismissive toward someone or failed to truly listen. Identifying these moments isn't about guilt, it's about growth. The next time, you'll be more mindful of showing respect and fairness in your actions. Finally, there's temperance, the virtue of balance. In a world filled with excess and overstimulation, temperance might be the most challenging virtue to practice. Did you overindulge in distractions today, spending hours scrolling on your phone? Or did you find balance in how you spent your time, energy, and focus? Asking, did I practice moderation today, helps you recognize where you might be excessive and where you can regain balance. A practical way to incorporate this reflection into your life is to use a journal or ask yourself specific prompts before bed. Questions like, did I act with courage and kindness today? Where did I falter in wisdom or self-restraint? How did I treat others, and did I honor fairness? These questions are not a checklist to judge yourself harshly, but a guide for self-improvement. Even the Stoics themselves didn't expect perfection. As Seneca wrote, no man can live a happy life or even a supportable life without the study of wisdom. But the study of wisdom is not sufficient to secure happiness. We must practice it. The focus is on progress, not flawlessness. By consistently reflecting on how you align with these virtues, you're not just thinking about what it means to live well, you're actively practicing it. Each reflection strengthens your character, making virtues less of an ideal and more of a lived reality. And over time, this daily effort brings you closer to the Stoic goal of living a life rooted in reason, purpose, and moral integrity. The unexamined life is not worth living, declared Socrates, one of the most influential philosophers in history. These words have resonated across centuries, challenging us to pause and consider the kind of life we're leading. They remind us that true fulfillment doesn't come from rushing through life on autopilot, but from conscious engagement aligning our actions, thoughts, and values with a deeper sense of purpose. For the Stoics, this concept of the examined life was central to their philosophy, and they believed daily reflection was a critical tool for achieving it. At its core, reflection is the practice of paying attention, of stepping back from the constant activity of life to ask, am I living in alignment with who I want to be? Are my choices today bringing me closer to the life I envision, or are they pulling me further away? This act of self-examination isn't just a philosophical exercise, it's a way to bring clarity and direction to our lives. Without reflection, we risk being swept away by distractions, habits, or external pressures, losing sight of what truly matters. For the Stoics, living a meaningful life wasn't about wealth, fame, or success as defined by society. It was about living virtuously, with wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance while remaining rooted in what we can control. Reflection helps us bridge the gap between these ideals and our daily reality. It fosters self-awareness, helping us recognize where our actions align with our values and where they don't. And from that self-awareness comes intentionality, the ability to make conscious, deliberate decisions that lead us closer to our goals. Take a real-life example. Imagine someone who values family above all else but finds themselves consistently working late, missing important moments with their loved ones. Without reflection, this pattern might go unnoticed until it's too late, leaving them with regret down the road. But through daily reflection, by asking questions like, did I prioritize what matters most today? Or were my choices guided by my values? They create space to course correct. Reflection allows them to recognize the disconnect between their actions and their priorities and make intentional changes, such as setting clearer boundaries at work or dedicating uninterrupted time to their family. Reflection also prevents us from becoming overwhelmed by the chaos and noise of modern life. In a world where we're constantly bombarded by notifications, advertisements, and endless to-do lists, it's easy to lose our sense of agency, reacting to the demands of the day rather than proactively shaping it. Daily reflection acts as a grounding practice, pulling us out of reactive mode and helping us regain control. By asking questions like, what did I dedicate my time and energy to today? Did those things bring me closer to my long-term goals? We can ensure that our days are shaped by purpose rather than distraction. But the power of reflection doesn't just lie in examining our past, it's also a tool for envisioning our future. When we reflect on our values and how we want to live, we create a roadmap for our decisions moving forward. For example, if someone identifies self-growth as a core value, reflection might lead them to invest more time in learning, trying new experiences, or setting personal challenges. If kindness is a priority, they might choose to intentionally cultivate patience or seek opportunities to help others. This is how daily reflection transforms from a simple habit into a life-shaping practice, aligning our actions with the person we aspire to be. So, how does this translate into practical steps? Start by dedicating just a few minutes each day to self-examination. You might do this in a journal, through quiet meditation, or even during a reflective walk. Ask yourself questions like, what did I do well today? Where could I have improved? And did I live in alignment with my values? Over time, this habit becomes a compass, guiding your daily choices and helping you live a more intentional, meaningful life. As Socrates argued, life is only truly fulfilling when we take the time to examine it. And through daily reflection, we not only gain self-awareness but also the ability to live deliberately, making choices that honor our highest values and long-term purpose. It's in this act of continuous self-examination that we find clarity, growth, and ultimately a life of meaning. While the Stoics may not have had the luxury of mobile apps or digital journals, their philosophy was deeply rooted in practicality. They used the tools available to them: simple notebooks, quiet moments of solitude, and structured routines to practice daily reflection and self-improvement. Marcus Aurelius, for instance, wrote in his Meditations not to impress others but as a private exercise to guide his thoughts and actions. His method was straightforward: sit down, reflect, and write. Fast forward to today, and while life might look very different, the heart of this practice remains the same. What has changed, however, is the availability of modern tools that can make reflection more accessible and adaptable to our fast-paced lives. One of the simplest and most effective tools you can use for daily reflection is a journaling app. Apps like Day One, Penzu, or even plain note-taking apps on your phone recreate the essence of Marcus Aurelius's practice while adding the convenience of digital organization. These tools allow you to jot down your reflections anytime and anywhere, eliminating the barriers of carrying a physical journal. You can set reminders to write daily, use prompts to guide your thoughts, and even track how your reflections evolve over time. The ability to search through past entries offers a unique way to observe patterns in your thoughts and behaviors, a feature Marcus could only dream of. For those who prefer structure, habit-tracking apps like Habitica, Streaks, or one tailored to Stoicism, such as Stoic, can help integrate reflection into your routine. These apps gamify the process, allowing you to set goals like reflect for 5 minutes every evening, or write 3 things I learned today. By tracking your progress, you not only build consistency but also gain a sense of accomplishment, a small yet meaningful motivator to keep going. And just as Stoicism emphasizes steady, incremental progress, these tools encourage you to focus on the journey rather than perfection. Mindfulness practices can also play a significant role in Stoic reflection. Apps like Headspace or Calm, while not explicitly Stoic, can cultivate the presence of mind needed to reflect effectively. Using guided meditations to center your thoughts or focus on your breath mirrors the Stoic emphasis on grounding oneself in the present moment. When combined with prompts for reflection, mindfulness can enhance your ability to assess your day with clarity and without judgment, an essential Stoic principle. Another modern spin on ancient practices is using digital prompts to guide your reflections. Imagine how Marcus Aurelius might have appreciated having a daily reflection question delivered straight to his pocket. Tools like journaling apps or email subscriptions can provide prompts such as, "What did I do well today? Where did I stray from my values? What can I improve tomorrow?" These questions simplify the process, especially if you're new to reflection, helping you focus on meaningful insights without feeling overwhelmed. It's also important to remember that the tools themselves are secondary. Whether you're using an app, a notebook, or just a quiet moment in your head, the power of reflection lies in its consistency. Modern tools are helpful because they remove barriers. They make reflection easier to start and sustain. But at its heart, the practice remains timeless. Pause, examine your day, and align yourself with your highest values. The beauty of reflection tools is their flexibility. While Marcus Aurelius had his journal, you have the freedom to choose methods that resonate with you. It could be as simple as setting a daily phone reminder to pause and reflect, or as involved as maintaining a detailed digital journal. The specific tool doesn't matter as much as the act of showing up for yourself day after day to examine your actions, thoughts, and experiences with honesty and curiosity. In this way, modern tools become extensions of the Stoic tradition rather than replacements. They serve to bridge the gap between a philosophy thousands of years old and the challenges of our contemporary lives. By combining the timeless wisdom of Stoicism with the convenience of modern technology, we make the practice of reflection not only sustainable but also deeply relevant in our world today. After all, as the Stoics would remind us, it's the commitment to the process, not the tool, that shapes the person you become. Daily reflection, as the Stoics teach us, is not just a practice, it's a quiet revolution in how we live our lives. It's a way to pause the endless motion of the world around us, to step back from distractions, and to turn our attention inward. By taking just a few moments each day to reflect, we unlock the ability to truly know ourselves, to understand our actions, our emotions, and our values. And when we know ourselves, we gain the power to shape who we're becoming. Reflection fosters self-awareness, that crucial first step in personal growth. It helps us identify where we are living in alignment with our principles and where we may be falling short. It's not about perfection but about progress, a small, steady commitment to improvement day after day. This practice also builds resilience. When we reflect on challenges and view them as opportunities to learn, we start to see difficulties not as obstacles but as stepping stones to greater strength. And at its deepest level, reflection cultivates virtue. It reminds us to act with wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance even when life feels overwhelming. Marcus Aurelius, one of Stoicism's greatest voices, wrote in his Meditations "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." Daily reflection is how we exercise that power. It's how we remain steady in the unpredictable currents of life, grounded in our values and intentional in our actions. And it doesn't require monumental changes or hours of contemplation. It begins with small, consistent steps, a few questions at the end of the day, a brief pause to consider what went well and what could have been different. If there's one thing to take away, it's this: reflection is not just a tool for self-improvement, it's a path to intentional living. By practicing it, you're saying yes to a life that is examined, thoughtful, and aligned with what truly matters. Because, as Seneca wisely put it, as long as you live, keep learning how to live. Every moment of reflection is a chance to learn, to grow, and to live with greater purpose. So, what will you take from today into tomorrow? How will you begin applying the wisdom of reflection to your own life? Start small and build from there. Jot down a thought in a journal, reflect during your commute, or simply take a moment before bed to ask yourself how you showed up today. And remember, you are not alone in this journey. Share your experiences, your insights, or your questions in the comments below. Let's continue learning and growing together. If you found value in this video, consider subscribing for more content on Stoicism and intentional living. And if this resonated with you, share it with someone who might also benefit from the power of reflection. Thank you for joining me on this journey, and here's to a life lived with purpose, one day and one reflection at a time.